The following program was funded in part by Toyota, AT&T, Baldwin Richardson Foods, Lincoln Financial Group, Apple, American Airlines. A complete list is available at thehistorymakers.org.
You gotta have a dream. Everybody's got a dream. God gave it to you. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna make a dream come true? My friend, tell me what's on your mind, and where do you want to go? It's gonna be your dreams that's gonna take you there. And don't give up if your dream's different. Just remember, if you don't follow your dream, you never know what's on the other side of the rainbow. You never know what you will find at the top of your mountain. You never know where you'll be at your journey's end. Your journey's end. Well, someone will try. Well, it's always to bring you down. They'll tell you dreams are for those who sleep. Ooh, but dreamers possess great powers untold. They build worlds others can't even see. So just remember, you don't follow your dream. You never know on the other side of the rainbow. You never know what you'll find at the top of your mountain. You never know where you'll be at your journey's end. Oh, you got to know deep in your heart that your dreams are gonna come true. And don't let nobody tell you what you cannot do. Don't let nobody tell you it's impossible for you. Don't let nobody tell you what you just got to do. But remember, if you don't follow your dream, you'll never know it's on the other side of your rainbow. You'll never know you'll find at the top of your mountain. Never know where you'll be at your journey's end. Oh.
evening, Melba Moore. I tell you, I am so moved tonight, knowing that we're all here because of vision and passion. You know, as long as we have had memory, we have told our stories. We've told our stories to one another over and over again. We've told them over the seas, over the centuries. We talked about our existence and how we survived, and our voices mixed with voices and rhythms with rhythms, rhythms chasing rhythms, and tracing down and tracking down our yesterdays. Our oral history is really our tradition. It's our heritage. And these archives, they stand as a testament. They're a testament to the hard work and the dedication and determination of a woman whose vision it was to capture the faces, record the many voices of those people who have done extraordinary things but would tell you that they're just ordinary people. But we know that's not true. And one of the people who really adopted the HistoryMakers early on was the late Walter Hill. Mr. Hill was head of the African American collection at the National Archives. And he told Juliana from the very beginning, and he said it during his last days, that he would be with her forever. He would be with the project forever. The vision that Walter Hill spoke about was that same vision that I saw, the same passion that I felt when Juliana Richardson in New York City, and it was March 8th, 2001, when she interviewed me in my Essence offices. But that year, Juliana and her crew, they were busy. They traveled to Washington, D.C., to New York City, to Los Angeles, Boston. On 9/11 in 2001, she interviewed the revered theatrical director, Lloyd Richards. That was in New York City. It was on November 15th, 2001, that the HistoryMakers presented right here in Chicago a legendary singer, an exquisite woman who I love, in the most wonderful PBS television special, An Evening with Dionne Warwick.
I should be searching my world for love everlasting, baby, feeling no pain. When will we meet again? Why do you have to be a heartbreaker? Is it a lesson that I never knew? Gotta get out of this spell that I'm under. My love for you.
As a mother of 2 sons, as well as a grandmother of 6, I sometimes ask, why are our children so disconnected from our past? Our children can only benefit from knowing that this archive is their inheritance. This is why I'm committed to the HistoryMakers. It is our future. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb, and there are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there is just too little love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. no, not just for some, but for everyone. My Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow, and there are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. Won't you listen, my Lord, if you wanna know, if you wanna know, the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there is, just too little love. What this world needs right now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, oh, but just for everyone. I'm gonna repeat what the world needs now is love, sweet love, 3 times. Will y'all sing that with me? What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs right now. This time like you mean it. Come on, y'all. What the world needs right now is love. What the world needs right now. Our world needs love. Yes, this world needs love.
I am so excited and so thrilled to be here tonight because of the star who you are about to meet.
I am so thrilled to be back here in Chicago tonight.
I have to tell you, I couldn't be more thrilled or excited to be here tonight. She is Eartha Kitt.
Diane Carroll. This is Smokey Robinson.
Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Quincy Jones. Good evening. I am Gwen Eiffel, and I am thrilled once again for the 5th time to say welcome to the HistoryMakers. Through the Evening With series that has aired on PBS, I've had the chance to jam with Quincy Jones, to sing backup for Smokey Robinson, honest to goodness, to dish with Diane Carroll, and to growl with the late Eartha Kitt in the last interview she ever gave. I spend most of my day job as a journalist attempting to write the first draft of history. But at some point, that draft becomes the final telling of our story, and that story becomes our legacy. What legacy will we leave for our children? What history will they tell and make and share? That is what HistoryMakers is all about. HistoryMakers is a lifeline to our past and to our future. We have another special guest, and here to introduce that guest is Kefra Burns.
Gwen Eiffel spoke of this evening as a testament, and that's what the HistoryMakers is about, collecting our testaments. New Testaments tumbled chapter and verse from voices of change in the turbulent 60s, loud enough to wake the dead and disturb the peace of the somnolent 1950s. New images and new energies were emerging on tongues of fire and light. Tony Cade Bambara, Sonia Sanchez, Don L. Lee, Baraka, Maya, plotting poems mixed with politics, with SNCC and SCLC, who didn't see eye to eye with the NAAC people. Cities were burning. Our cities were burning. Then into the flames stepped a fiery young poet writing her story, making her story, her name, Nikki Giovanni.
I was born in the Congo.
I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine, perfect light.
I am bad.
I sat on the throne drinking nectar with Allah.
I got hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst.
My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile.
I am a beautiful woman.
I gazed on the forest and burnt out the Sahara Desert with a pack of goat's meat and a change of clothes.
I crossed it in 2 hours.
I am a gazelle, so swift, so swift. You can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son Hannibal an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built Newark, and I stood proudly at the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intoned my loving name. All praises, all praises. I am the one who would save. I sowed diamonds in my backyard. My bowels deliver uranium. The filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose, giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip. Even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal, I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I mean, I can fly like a bird in the sky.
Being of service to my community and particularly remaining connected to our youth has always been a top priority for me. Being in the radio business, I witnessed firsthand the impact that hip-hop had on popular American culture when I interviewed the man who is responsible for taking hip-hop from a subculture music form to an international acceptance. I recognized and realized the true power of the History Makers. It was on that evening in 2004 that I committed to helping the History Makers continue to change opinions and inform the world of the true greatness of our story told from our perspective. That was the same year that the History Makers opened an office in Atlanta, Georgia, with an evening with Della Reese.
Thank you so very, very much. When I was 13 years old, a girlfriend of mine had discovered a recording of Leontyne Price. I'd never heard anything sung with such exquisite beauty. And I decided at that point that that's what I wanted to do with my life. And I remember racing home and announcing this great news, and after everybody got off the floor and finished laughing, the next question was, well, why is it that you want to sing that music? Why is it that you want to sing that white music? I am so grateful to Juliana Richardson. During the years since we did our History Makers broadcast, we have stayed in touch, and I'm always so deeply impressed with who she is as a human being and how she and the whole of the History Makers are bringing this great work to us, to our children, to our children's children, so that we can know that music and dance and theater and poetry and literature comes in a variety of flavors, of colors. Thank you so much. Thank you, Juliana Richardson and the History Makers, for your commitment and all that you do to make our lives more beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We all know that Black history goes far beyond those 28 days in February. Yes, we do. Our history continues to be made every single day. And it is these lessons, both old and new, that our youth need to hear, and examples they need to learn. They also need to know that they have history in order for them to navigate the future. And look, education, we all know, is the core of the mission of HistoryMakers. And so this year alone, some 200 of our HistoryMakers spread out across the country. They went to 25 different states, 50 cities on September 17th, and they chatted with young folks all across the country. It was indeed magic. So all of those HistoryMakers who went to those schools on September 17th, stand up, please, so we can recognize you.
Having archives and digital archives that you can access from anywhere and that show sort of individual people's stories that no one thinks to write a history about until it's far too late to ask them is going to be very valuable.
I actually just emailed a whole bunch of friends yesterday the link to the archive because I think it's just really important for everyone to learn about African American history, not just African Americans, it's American history.
I mean, if you look in history books, and I remember when I was a child, there's probably one chapter dedicated to the civil rights or slavery, and it might all be in the same chapter, just 3 lessons in that one chapter. But I don't think it's enough.
I'm really hoping we can make a difference. You know, we say informal education, and I really think we can make ourselves known in that niche.
I'm pretty proud about what we did. It's really pretty incredible. 173 history makers at 105 schools is a really large number, and in half of the states of the country.
One of the early schools on the list was C.T. Vivian. His school's in Macomb, and I had the good pleasure of speaking with the principal there. She was very familiar with Dr. Vivian and very, very, very interested in bringing him there. And that great interest that we discovered early on the project really helped spur us on and show us that this idea had legs.
I am very inspired and honored to be here today for the simple fact that we are surrounded not only by history makers, but history makers to be. And that's us, right? These people right here, they have paved the way for us. So if we are history makers to be, what does that mean for us? That means that we need to be the best that we can be at all times. Each and every one of us has a key to tomorrow's door. And let us build the bridge of racial harmony so that no matter what color you may be, we will be able to live together in peace and in love. Let us tear down the walls of being ignorant. God has not intended you to be a C student. God has not intended you to be an average person. So build the bridge of excellence. Even if it falls your lot to be a little street sweep, still go on out and sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Even though it's something simple, even though it's something small, I'm going to give it my all. Because it's a job for me to do. We are history makers. To the history makers of the past, the present, and us, which is the future.
I'm one of those who's learned how to get up after falling down on the long and winding, bumpy road of life. Just let me walk this road of life with you. And I wanna walk it step by step, uphill or down, no matter where it's leading to. Oh yeah. Well, I wanna take you by the hand. You should find some hills along the way to stay tonight. I won't ever let you fall. want to keep you standing tall. Hey, I know together we can make it, and let me dream. Oh, the dreams that you're dreaming of. And it doesn't matter if they're big or small, because together we will make them all come true. Dream the impossible. Oh, your heart. Find your dreams and keep on falling all apart. I won't ever let you fall. I just want to keep you standing tall. I said no, together we're gonna make it. Ooh. Dream the impossible with all your heart. Find your dreams, keep on falling all apart. Come on and lean on me. I won't ever let you fall. Lean on me. I keep you standing tall. Hey, I found Jesus, He would help me make it. You know what? I made it. Leaning on Jesus. Good God Almighty, I made it. Leaning on Jesus. Hey, I made it. Still leaning on Jesus. I made it. Leaning on Jesus. I made it. Without the music. Hey.
The theme tonight is commit. Commitment is the legacy of a people that have come from some very unusual and miraculous places. It's been a journey, but a journey that had it not been for the commitment of those that are part of this organization, the story would not be told. Oh, we know the big names. But it is those that were in the trenches every day that made a difference, that brought us forward, that moved the country, that moved the world. History makers tell their stories. Ordinary people that did extraordinary things. That's what History Makers is all about. And if we don't tell that story to our children, they will never know their value. The great sin of today is that many of our young people do not know that in their veins runs the blood of people that beat low expectations, that beat those that marginalized them and achieved anyway. When we went around with History Makers, I was in Washington with Secretary of Education Arne Duncan, talking to young people that day with Julianne and the HistoryMakers Day. It's something incongruous about a generation that has been told they cannot continue the greatness of the legacy they've inherited. There's something incongruous about a time that we live where a beautiful African-American woman and 2 daughters and a mother live in the White House, yet we call our women names. There's something incongruous about a time where our children take off T-shirts of Dr. King and Malcolm X and put on Thugs and Scarface when we have a black attorney general. We must connect the dreams of our young with the promise of this day. And they must know we got here because of people that were committed not to succumb, but committed to be triumphant, committed to rise above their circumstances, committed to be the exception rather than the prediction. So my challenge to you is, what is your commitment? What will you walk out of here being a part of? Will you be a history maker? And will you help us tell these young people what history makers have done and what history expects of them, so that when you walk from mortality to immortality, we will not have to make something up for the time that you've existed. We can be able We also want you talking to these young people. Don't brush them off. This was once upon a time you waiting for a chance. This is our future, and let's not forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone that made history at one time, what separated them from the rest was they stood up. Tonight, we all must stand for something. If you stand for something, you will make history, not just watch history. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Dwayne Lee to the stage. I guarantee you, he'll make you stand.
When you've done all you can, and it seems like it's never enough, tell me, how do you smile when your friends turn away and you're all alone, all alone? Tell me, what do you give when you've given your all, and it seems like you can't make it through? That's when you stand, when there's nothing left for you to do. Go on and stand, watch our God see you through. Yes, after you've done all that you can, you just stand. Tell me, how do you handle the guilt of your past? Tell me, how do you deal with your shame? And how can you smile while your heart's being broken and filled with pain? Tell me, what do you give when you've given your all, and it seems like it's never enough? That's when you stand, when there's nothing left for you to do. Go on and stand, watch our God pull you through. Yes, after you've done all you can, you just stand and be sure, be not entangled entangled with the bondage again. You just stand and endure, for God has a purpose and God has a plan. Tell me what to do when you've done all you can, and it seems like it's never enough. You can stand, you can stand, stand. Don't you bow, don't you bend, don't give up, and don't ever give in. Through the storm, stand through the rain, stand through sickness, and stand in your pain. Hold on and be strong. Hold on, hold on. After you've done all you can, oh, after you've done all you can, you've been wounded, you've been scarred. Believe that nothing's too hard for our God. Oh, after you've done all you can, after you've done all you can, won't you stand? Oh, after you've done all you can, after you've done all you can, hold on to God's unchanging hands. Hold on to His everlasting hands. Go on and stand. You just stand. After you've done all you can.
Done all you can. Oh, after you've done all you can. After you've done all you can. After you've done all you can, just stand.
After you've done all you can. After you've done all you can.
After you've done all you can.
After you've done all you can.
After you've done all you can, you just
Go on and stand. You just stand.
Ladies and gentlemen, my co-producer, George Faison.
The preceding program was funded in part by Toyota.
AT&T, Baldwin Richardson Foods, Lincoln Financial Group, Apple, American Airlines, a complete list